Yes, I know it's a big year for the White Sox, but it's a big year for you too. As far as your own self and your front office, how important do you feel this year is, just on a personal basis?
Well, I mean, every year is important. Obviously, going through a year like we did last year, there was a lot to learn, a lot of, painful moments that you had to endure that I think is only going to make us stronger. But, to be out here in spring training is exciting. It really is. For one, to get out of the Chicago weather a little bit and see some sunshine is certainly appreciated. But, to have a spring training where, a top ranked farm system is represented well, in Major League camp. So, it's going to be enjoyable to see some of these younger players get a Major League experience, so to speak. And then, on top of that, there's a fair amount of competition. I would say the majority of our roster has to earn their opportunities. So I think that makes for a healthy, productive camp. We've got a very new Major League staff, obviously, with Will at the manager helm, which is, it's exciting to now get everyone in together, in person with our players. So, we're all kind of chomping at the bit to get this thing rolling. Players look really good so far, the guys that are here. And look forward to, seeing how things unfold in spring training.
You've always been a tremendously confident guy ever since you played when we knew you then. But is there something that you feel you need to prove as well to yourself about being a top executive of a baseball team?
Well, I've really just wanted to, establish ourselves in so many different areas of the organization, and it starts with the foundational pieces, and that's, the acquisition process internationally, amateurs. We've made a lot of adjustments to our R&D group and restructuring there. We've made other changes throughout the organization, and now to see our staff, our group, kind of bring it to life. But I believe in our process, and unfortunately, when you feel like you're going about it the right way, it takes a minute for it to show up on our Major League club, which ultimately is the most important. But you look at the overall health of the organization. I say that from a talent standpoint, we're in a much better spot than where we were a year ago. I feel really good about the infrastructure, and now we need to go out there and find ways to get better.
I know you talked ad nauseum about 24 at this point, but when you look back, the development aside, and you knew going in it was going to be a tough season in terms of wins and losses, but how did you feel coming out of the year? Did it take a little bit of a toll on you, even with everything you've just spoke about, what you were growing in the organization?
You learn every year. You learn something new, and I think going through a year like we did in 2024, most importantly, it just provided a lot of clarity for a lot of people, including myself. We had a lot of work to do, a lot more changes that needed to be made, and we were able to accomplish a lot of that this offseason. And that started with hiring Will Venable. We feel very fortunate to have him as a leader in our clubhouse and be able to surround him with what we feel like the right support to ultimately go out there and get our players better.
So you looked at last year. You don't want to lose as much as you, but you looked at last year as more informative than painful.
That's right. Yeah, no, and you said it. We knew it was going to be a challenging year. It's always tough to know how many wins and losses you're going to have. We made moves, in some trades of some really key players that affected our record. Now, we made those moves and for reasons of getting this organization healthy in a better position for success in the future.
Speaking of that, as a former athlete, we always hear about athletes when they fail, the success eventually feels that much better. Do you let your mind wander about the success here and like if and when it happens, where you came from? Like we were at the bottom, but when we're at the top, it'll feel that much better.
Yeah, I mean, I think a great example is just going through the hiring process and going after the best talent that we can. Will's a prime example of this, where okay, we obviously need to show individuals what our organization actually looks like and where it's going. And the thing is, in professional sports, there's so many individuals that want to take on a challenge, because if you get it right, it's going to be the most rewarding probably experience of your career, and I think all of us view that. So to be able to overcome what we did last year in these coming years is a great opportunity for so many different people, and myself included.
In that vein, if you look at it as a timeline, which you might not want to do, but as specifically as you can make it for the people who are watching the White Sox, what is the timeline and where are the Sox on it?
Yeah, I mean, I listen. You look at our record last year. We want to win more games this year. What exactly is that amount? That time will tell. All I know is from an infrastructure standpoint, from a talent standpoint, we're in a much better place. Player performance will dictate a lot of this, the timeline of where we're more competitive on our major league club. With that being said, you can't get too far in front of yourself. You can't. As an organization, we know where we're at, and we still have a lot of work to do. But I know that, you look at spring training and, we want to have productive days. We want to have purpose. You don't want to just check boxes. You want to put players in a position where we're challenging them, and challenging them so when they're faced with, some of what comes with this game, they're ready to go out there and execute. And that's what Will, myself, are looking to create this spring training.
With all the organizational changes you've talked about, infrastructure, investment R&D, and a manager who has a lot of experience running camps, do you expect that to look different this spring in a way that's noticeable in how this camp goes?
I think so. I mean, and having lengthy conversations with Will and the staff, they've got plans to put our players in higher stakes situation in our work. So when you're faced with game action, whether it be spring training or in the season, you're ready to go. So often I think players, they want their arms to feel good, they want their legs to feel good, they want their swing to feel right. And obviously there's a phase of spring training that's really important, but you got to go out there and execute. You got to put these players in position to go out there and perform with what the game gives you. And I think that's going to be one of the bigger things this spring training. So when it comes to opening day, we're ready to really act on every situation.
Is the competition element that you talked about part of that as well? I mean, previous springs might be, success might be dictated by, does Eloy look right? Does Yuan look right? With it being more of an open competition, is that a different feel you're anticipating?
Yeah, I mean, you look across our infield, you look at our catching situation, you look at our starting staff and our bullpen. There's opportunity here. We don't have a lot of positions that are set in stone. So, I think the players they're up for the challenge of wanting to go out there and show us what they're capable of doing. And I think, we're gonna reap those benefits, this year.
What intrigues you the most about that catching situation that you have?
I mean, we've got a handful of catchers going to do a lot of different things, whether it be, on the defensive side, the receiving and throwing, but also offensively. We've got guys that are strong on the left side and the right side. There's plenty of depth there. We've got a handful of guys that don't have a ton of experience, and I think this Major League camp's going to be really valuable, getting them to work with, our pitching coaches, our pitchers to put our pitchers in the best position come opening day. That position is become, much more comprehensive than it was years ago. So you've got to have the aptitude and work ethic to go out there and get the job done.
What's the update on Drew Thorpe, and do you know of any other guys who are a little behind coming into spring training tomorrow?
Yeah, Drew's feeling really good. He had some soreness this offseason that slowed down some of his throwing program. He's playing catch right now. He'll be on a mound here shortly. We do expect him to be a little behind some of these other starters, but with that being said, we feel like he's going to be active, throughout spring training. And then we've got Kai Bush, who actually, unfortunately, is having Tommy John surgery tomorrow. And Brian Ramos is, cleared to hit. He's got some elbow soreness right now, so we're going to be very mindful of his workload. But we plan on him, being a full participant this season.
What have you seen from Will since the day you hired him until now that you like or impresses you? What have you seen from him?
Yeah, I mean, he's a relationship builder. He's done a great job with our staff and our players. He's got a very, easy temperament. He's very thoughtful in his communication skills. He understands kind of the the small things, but also understands big picture. Every time I interact with him, and I think I can speak for others, you walk away pretty impressed.
Chris, you share a facility with a team and organization that's kind of on top of the world. I don't know. Someone said that to me on the radio. There's some irony there, considering where you guys are. But what are the things that maybe you aspire? Maybe their payroll or revenues might be exorbitant. But what are there's other qualities they have? Curious, or what are the things?
Well, they're coming off of a World Series win, and there's a lot of different ways to go about building an organization. And they've done a great job, within the parameters that they have. With that being said, it's a great opportunity to be matched up in a facility with a team that won the World Series to have something to aim towards. How are we going to beat them? How can we compete? So, the Dodgers have been a very successful organization. With that being said, we know what we need to do, and we're set out to do that.
Do you talk to Andrew a little bit here when you're? I mean, you don't cross paths too much, but you play each other.
Yeah, I'll see him on the backfields,
right.
and he and Brandon Gomes. So
what are those combos like? A little bit conversations like.
Well, we talk about players. We talk about our current situation and theirs, and how the off season went. Beyond that, I can't say that there's too much, but their season's starting a little bit earlier than ours. I'm sure that'll be part of the conversation this spring training. But they've been good partners here.
I know you can't guarantee wins. Nobody can do that. But can you pretty much guarantee a more watchable, better product for White Sox fans to watch?
I do think we're going to win more games than we did last year. Unfortunately, there are going to be some growing pains along the way that at times is going to challenge your emotions. But that's part of the development of some of these players. We need to be patient. And it's hard to do in professional sports because we've got so many competitors out there, on the field on a daily basis. But I do think that it's going to be there's going to be plenty of exciting stories. And a lot of that has to do with the talent that's going to work their way to the major leagues this season.
Is it hard to answer the fan media question because you can't promise anything, right?
Well, it's tough to be, precise or definitive on anything other than the fact that we have more talent than we did a year ago. We've got an infrastructure that's much stronger, and we should be putting our players in a position for more success.
Would you expect? What are the chances of Luis Robert and with the club opening day?
Yeah, I mean the expectation he's going to be our opening day center fielder. He's had a really productive offseason, and we've got to find ways to keep him on the field, and we know what he's capable of doing when he's healthy, and so we look forward to handling him in a way that he can be on the opening day roster and be the productive player that we're accustomed to seeing.
Are you eager to get to the point when you're not in the mode of what can we get for this established player, but how can we acquire somebody? How can we got to keep somebody to get to that part of your job, your career?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly want to be standing here and talking about competing for the division and having a playoff run. But right now we're focused on shaping our roster and really developing these guys to be productive major league players. We don't want to be looking to move players. We don't. We want players that are here for a long time. That's ultimately our goal. Are you always going to have to find ways to be creative and add to your team without question? And eventually we'll get to that point. But right now we're focused on the group that we have here and putting together a 26-man roster.
Traditionally, trade talks kind of calm down during spring training. Clubs focus on their what they have, but obviously you guys pulled off a trade last spring. What do you kind of anticipate in terms of whether or not things will calm down like they normally do? And now that you've been through it, are there advantages, disadvantages to different times of year for the market?
Yeah, I mean the market kind of takes care of itself. There's certain needs that pop up for every organization, so you're having ongoing conversations throughout spring training and even early on into the season and up until the trade deadline. I can't say that there's a better opportunity than others, because really the market dictates itself. But with that being said, we're focused on the group that we have, and getting these guys on the field and putting themselves in a position for success.
Somebody remarked to me this week that you have the toughest job in sports. Do you ever allow yourself to reflect on how difficult the road up is for you and your front office?
I don't focus on that. We don't focus on that. We know that we have a challenge in front of us, without question. But we feel really good about what we've been able to accomplish in the last year, and right now we're focused on having a productive spring training.
As you look at everything, start to finish of each year, last year your first GM, but maybe even before that, have the White Sox just not done spring training well? Has that been a contributing factor to how the seasons have played out? Do the Sox need to get better at executing a spring plan?
Well, you're always looking to find ways to put your team in a position to have success, and we've got some ideas to do that this spring training. To speak about past spring trainings, every spring training is different based on the makeup of the roster and the opportunities on the club. We know that we've got a lot of opportunity, and there's going to be a lot of competition. So, health is a big part of going into the season. So we want to be very mindful and respectful for player health, and at some point we've got to get to a phase in spring training where it's going out there and we're executing. You expect to get the job done, because that's what we're set out to do in professional sports.
You mentioned competition. Just as far as the rotation's concerned, just how would you kind of describe some of those guys that are competing for that spot? And then as far as the bullpen, who are some of those bullpen arms that you're most intrigued about?
Yeah, I'm excited to see how our rotation takes shape. You look at what Sean Burke was able to do at the end of the year, and the season that Jonathan Cannon was able to accomplish, and getting Davis Martin back and having some productive starts for us. Obviously, we got to get Drew Thorpe feeling good and ready to go. I look forward to watching Jairo Iriarte, what he looks like in spring training. We've got Shane Smith on a Rule 5. We felt really good about getting the opportunity to select him in the Rule 5 draft. And we've got some others that are very versatile, guys that can pitch multiple innings but also have some situational ability. We've been pretty active on the waiver wire, and we'll continue to monitor that. We're going to have to be creative, but thankfully we've got a pool of talent that's going to be able to accomplish a lot.
Anyway, your top two left-handed pitchers in your organization break through this year to the Major League team?
That's yet to be seen. I know, it's going to be fun to watch them pitch in Major League camp. I don't see them breaking with the team out of spring training. With that being said, I could see some of our top guys working their way to the Major League club.
How much is the challenge?
We've got a handful of options there. We haven't determined roles yet, but that's part of our spring training.
How much is the challenge for Noah to, you've seen the talent, you've seen what he can do, but now he's got to add innings, right? Add innings and pitches. I mean, I know starting pitching is a little different than it was 15, 20 years ago, but you still need a guy who can at least have the chance to go 5, 6, 7 innings.
Sure. Noah was able to have 90-plus innings last year, which was a big step for him. We're going to continue to build on that, and getting him closer to what it was going to be like in a Major League season is what we're set out to do this year, so we can look up at 26 and pencil him in as a starter for our Major League club.
Do you make a goals list, so that you actually write down, or that's just imprinted on your brain for each year, or a motto? Do you have anything like that?
Yeah, there's.
What's number one?
Well, there's objectives, every year. What you want to accomplish in a 12-month span, what do you want to accomplish in spring training, and what you want to accomplish for a season. So, those objectives might change, as certain things pop up throughout the season. With that being said, I think it's really important for any leader in any role, whether it be sports or outside of sports, to be able to really, define the vision of the organization. And, last year was about, finding guys that we felt like could be part of the future for the White Sox. You look at spring training, some guys we've welcomed to camp. we know that a lot of these guys are going to be on our major league club for a long time, so we want to put them in a position to go out there and have good seasons, whether it be at an affiliate or with our major league club.
Just to follow up on Ramos, he was working a little bit on adding outfield to his abilities. Does this table that at all, dealing with the outfield?
It slows it down a little bit. Thankfully we can get at bats for him. Beyond Ramos, versatility is going to be a part of a lot of the players that are in camp here. We'll have guys that play all over the infield and move around in the outfield as well. So, as a young player, it just provides more opportunity for you to get at bats and gives you a smoother runway to develop as a major league player.
My last one. Do you have is there a baseball executive who you think of as the standard, the best ever, someone to model your game after, so to speak?
I mean, there's certain organizations that you feel like are ones to model yourself after. As an executive, it's important to track and follow what other organizations are doing. You look around our division, especially last year, having 3 clubs make the playoffs. I think that that's a good place to start, and seeing what they're doing right now to put them in a position for success. There's a lot of smart people that have established themselves as executives and organizations that do some things really well. So, and that's why we go out there, we bring in individuals from other organizations to challenge us, give us different ideas to be able to establish a White Sox model.